So this is our Pearl Purl, and we're using the size Super, which is the smaller one. There's about 5 different sizes that we do, and this is the nice Super Pearl Purl. So I'm just going to take the length that is in the pack, and I'm just going to stretch it. Now this is an 18-inch piece, so this is slightly longer. You'll have more than what you need for your project. I'm just going to snip that just there, like that, with the wire scissors. Okay, so we're starting with our Pearl Purl, and I'm going to do the little veins here first. So we just want to follow those little lines. Let's just see where it is. Just on there. Okay, and we just need to be really, really careful where we're coming up, because I think I'm going to start it at the bottom, just where our little hole is there already. And I'm using a very small needle, and the reason I'm using a small needle is because if I use a large one, it will create a larger hole in the sheer in the mesh. So I'm just going to pull that down just there, like that, and I'm going up and down in the same hole. Now I'm putting my needle up there so that I can guide where I think it should be coming up, and you need to hold it down so that it doesn't lift, because you don't want it to lift. So I'm going to go up and down in that same hole, over, and that's just probably a little bit too short. So at this stage, can you see how that's lengthening now? I'm just twisting it on the back and it's making it longer. So I'm just going to bring that around like that, and then again I'm just going to be really careful where I come up. Okay, and wherever I've come up, I'm going to go down. And that's just going to catch in that very end of purl. Okay, so then we need to come back down to the bottom. Just going to give that a little bit of a tweak there. Make sure I pull that tight while I tweak that, so that you've got a little bit of a curve, because you do want a bit of a curve on it. Okay, so before I actually stitch this end down, I'm going to trim it off with the metal thread scissors. So let's see whether that's right. Just going to hold that down. Just tighten that up for a second. Okay. And then we can just stitch that on the very, very edge. So I'm going to come up right on the edge, and then I'm going to go right over. But it might not quite catch it in. Let's just hold that like that, take that down. And it's not quite going to go over there, so I'm just going to make sure that it definitely does. Just like that. Okay, so that's holding that one in place, just like that. Okay, so now we need the next row. So again, that's just got a nice little, a slight curve to it. And I'm just going to hold that down, just there, where it needs to be. Now let's see if I can find where my needle needs to come up. Just about there. And this is going to be at the very end. And again, we're going to come up and down into the same hole, and then you're not creating extra holes. Make sure that we catch that end a little bit in just there. and then I'm just going to give it a little bit of a tweak, a little bit of a curve there. Okay, and we're just going to go down just towards the very end of that and catch that in. Okay, this is quite fiddly at this stage. Now, before we actually stitch that in, we do want to trim it off. Okay, just take that bit away slightly. Just going to bring that back round there. Take our needle down. And make sure that just goes in that last ridge. Just like that. Okay. So that's our 2. And then we've got one more to go in, which will be just here. And that'll go up to about there. So this is our piece. Now probably for this one, just cut it before I stitch it. So I'm just going to cut that there just like that. I'm going to give it a little bit of a curve already. And then when it gets stitched down, it'll be just there. Okay, so let's start with our stitch just here. Where our hole already is. Okay. Tweezers are coming in very useful at the moment. So I've got that up. I'm going to put that down the same hole like that. And then I'm going to put my thread, a wire, just in between my thread like that. I'm just going to let it fall into that second hole just there. Okay, and then we're going to do a stitch in the first hole as well. So I'm just going to come up here to just see where I'm going to be coming. Just there. And then we're going to go over that piece into the same hole as I've come up. Right, so that's got those last 2 pieces, and you can see it's just turned. So I need to turn it like that. Okay. So then we're just going to come up towards the end of our, and again, just make sure that you're holding it down, coming up, and then we're going to go over and around that piece of wire and go down into the same hole that we've come up into. Okay. Just like that. Okay. So that's our wire in place there. I'm going to do a tiny little stay stitch just down here. Okay, there we go. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a piece of Pearl Purl just around here. And again, we'll need to make sure that we bend that as we go. But I'll just need to get a new piece of thread. Okay, so we now need to do our little bit for the head. So I'm going to just start bending this wire so that it fits perfectly around the head. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come up just here and secure this in place first. Now remember that you need to come just inside of your couching line. Okay, so we need to make sure that we go over this end as well and secure that into place. sometimes you do need to move it slightly. It's fell into the ridge of our other Pearl Purl there, and we want it to fall just there nicely. Okay, so let's pull that down. So normally I would stitch into every third or fourth purl, but this is really small work and I'm going to go into every second purl just here. Okay. Right, so we've got those ones on, and then I'm going to bring that around here. So just bringing it a nice curve around the head of our buzzy bee. Okay, this is one of our little drones. Isn't a queen. Is going to be collecting all that honey for us and dropping it off to our little queen bee. And can you see how I'm just coming in just on the inside of that line there? Okay, so let's just make sure that we're doing every other one. Okay, so I'm just going to again tweak that around. So our little nose. Okay, so let's do another stitch just there. Okay, and now we need to tweak it again. So it's going just that way and back up. Let's just take that around there like that. Make sure you don't catch it on here. Okay, now let's do a couple of stitches, and then what I'll do is I will just trim it off. I can judge where that is there. So let's just trim that off just there. And then we're just going to put it down into here like that. Oops. It's going to get a bit catchy. Let's just pull that up. Sort that edge out. Okay, and then we'll just do our final stitch over the end where our head is. Like that. Again, that one's not quite going where I want it to, so just move that and then pull it down. And that's perfect. So that's our little bee head. So I'm going to come round here now with the abdomen area. So I'm going to show you just how to do that. And then again, we'll tweak this at a slight point. And then we'll be good. And there we have it. The Pearl Purl is now all completed and nicely goes round the abdomen.